Hey everyone, it's Andy, the young berry farmer from Twin Cities Berry Company. And if you haven't watched any of my videos before, you're probably wondering what this big carnival-looking monstrosity behind me is. It's actually called an exclusion netting structure, and I want to take this video to talk about what it is, why I use it, and how you can put one on your farm or even your backyard if it's something you're interested in doing yourself. So let's go take a look. Now, if we take a close look here, we can see that the insect netting is pretty aptly named. It's basically just this big drape of finely woven mesh net that I have draped over 1/2 acre of my entire field. And the primary purpose, though there are a lot of good things about it, is that it keeps bugs from the outside out. Here's one guy, if I can get the video to try and focus in on it. As you can see right here, this is a real bad bug for strawberries. It's called tarnished plant bug, and he's on the outside of my net just looking inside longingly because he wants to go in and suck all those sweet strawberry juices out, but he can't because this big mesh net is here. It's keeping them all out, and I don't have to spray at all in order to keep these buggers from getting in. So the biggest benefit of the insect netting is pest exclusion without the use of sprays. And when done right, it does a fantastic job. So now we're inside the netting and we can take a closer look at our actual plants here. You can see we just have these big, beautiful strawberry plants with ripening, just fantastic looking berries that have almost no insect damage at all, even though I haven't sprayed more than one time since I put this net up about 6 weeks ago. And the yields inside of this net are fantastic, even compared to using organic sprays. I'm an organic farmer, so I use the organic sprays in the open field on the other side of this net. Last week we had 2 times as much grade A marketable fruit in the net compared to an equal size outside. And that's pretty much the ratio we've been getting ever since we put the net up. So we have a financial and an environmental benefit here. We have a financial benefit because we have much higher yields. We have an environmental benefit because we don't have to use sprays at all. It's one of those really unique systems that is sort of a double whammy in terms of the benefits that it provides. For me, it's a no-brainer, but everyone's system is different. Everyone's priorities are different. And you can see the initial investment up front, right? I'm going to talk about how to build this net, the different ways that you can do it, and then how you can use it to get plants just as nice looking as these ones here. Now, what I found worked best for me is to set the galvanized steel pipes at a 20-foot spacing across your entire field. The PVC is also at a 20-foot spacing, going lengthwise. And widthwise, I have a couple support posts just keeping them up. There may be a little bit of guess and check to find the best system for you, but I make sure that all of the posts that are in the interior of the structure are higher up than the ones on the perimeter. I do this so it can sort of slough off if there's any rainfall events. Now, my posts are pounded into the ground at least 28 inches deep. This, with a galvanized steel, works really, really well. If you're going to have a permanent structure, you may want to go a little bit deeper to make sure that you're underneath the frost line for wherever you live. And then I weigh the net down just with simple sandbags that you buy at any big box hardware store like Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, anything like that. They're only about $5, $6 each. Really cheap way of making sure that the net stays in place, and you can see it works really well. I have one sandbag at every single post here, and I haven't had any issues with that in 2 years. Now, if you want to go cheap here, even cheaper than the galvanized steel pole on the perimeter, because that can get a little bit expensive, I understand, you can use PVC for your entire structure. The issue here, as you can see, this is some PVC I used from last year. It tends to bend inwards under the weight of the net, especially after dew and rainfall events, in a way that the galvanized steel pipe is so rigid it doesn't do that. So if you do use PVC on your perimeters, make sure to have some sort of counter anchor that pulls the PVC back towards the outside of your plot, or else the net's slowly going to pull it inwards as time goes on, even if you have it set in very, very deep. So last year I just had a piece of string that was tied to the top of the PVC, anchored into the ground, and that held it up fine. It was a little janky looking, but like I said, since this is a very porous material, it worked great for me through several storms. It does not need to be as strong as something like this. Now, to actually drape the net over this entire support system after you put the poles in the ground and the wire strung up over everything, it's pretty similar to how you drape plastic over a high tunnel. What I do is I take a tennis ball, wrap it on one side of the net after it's bunched up on one side of the field, tie a rope around that tennis ball so you've got something to grab onto, and then chuck the rope over the grid system of the polyamide wire, and then have about 4 or 5 people doing the same thing, and then you just drag the net over with the string that's being drug by the tennis ball attached to the net over the entire field. And if you pull hard enough, you'll be able to do the whole thing without any sort of expensive machinery, just some rope and tennis balls. And remember, like I said earlier, one of the great things about this netting is that it can be adapted to fit a wide array of systems on a bunch of different types of crops on farms from big to small. Here's a high tunnel that I use to grow raspberries, and raspberries right now are really susceptible to an invasive insect called spotted-winged Drosophila. It's a really nasty bug. A lot of farms have gone out of business because of it. But what I've done here is made this big tunnel structure and then put netting on every single ventilation duct, every single opening on the entire structure. So I have a totally enclosed greenhouse at a thick enough mesh that spotted-winged Drosophila can't get in. And if we look inside, please ignore the mess. It doesn't look that pretty. But we've got raspberries that are flowering and developing just great. And we're in the middle of August. You'd see so many fruit flies just buzzing around in the canopy here if we didn't have this sort of protection. I haven't had to spray once inside this tunnel. Like I said, it's a little bit of a mess, sorry. And we have these beautiful developing raspberries with absolutely no damage at all. I really think using exclusion netting like this is going to be one of the only ways forward if we want to have viable local organic fruit in the upper Midwest going forward. Alright, here's one right there. So I've got bees inside this system, and they're just really taking care of my raspberries. So I've got all the good guys locked in and all the bad guys locked out, just to have a beautiful raspberry system here that can make lots of fruit for Minnesota for years to come without any use of chemicals or sprays. So that is the basic synopsis of this system. Thanks for watching. I really love this netting. I'm going to try and expand with it. I've already expanded with it this year. I'm in my second year of using the system, and I couldn't be more happy with it. I want to have my entire strawberry field, my entire farm, under some sort of protected culture or netting by the end of 2022, so that my total farm has complete pest exclusion. I don't have to use any sprays from that point forward. That's the dream. And with the increased yields that I get under the net, I'll be able to raise enough money based on my financial projections to do so pretty easily. So very happy with the system. If you like this video or have any questions, make sure to throw a comment down below, like, subscribe if you really like it, and see what else we've got going on the farm. All right, thanks.